Breaking news. The universe and I are currently beefing. And I might be losing. Life is still lifing, and I'm still learning. Let's talk about it. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 8 of Life Vetted. Thank you for being here and tuning in. Hey everybody, man, this past week has been really rough. I am not gonna lie. It has been emotional, it has been tiring, it has been giving like bed rotting vibes. It has not been my favorite, okay? It has not been my favorite. And to be honest, it happens, once a month, every month, if you know what I mean. I was surfing the Crimson wave this past week, and it was a little emotional than usual. Now, listen, being a woman is beautiful, right? But it is tough. Okay? It is rough sometimes. And let me tell you that this last week really lived up to that. Okay? To that fact. I was just drawn into some old habits, and I was very emotional. I don't know exactly why I was so emotional this past week. It might have something to do with Mars leaving Cancer and going into Leo. And let me tell you, we're gonna have to discuss the astronomy of everything in one of these episodes. Today I just kind of want to talk about what's been going on with me in the last week or so. And listen, when Mars is the planet of war, okay? It is ruled by Aries. Aries is the god of war. And Mars doesn't like to be in Cancer. It doesn't like to be in Cancer because Cancers are just emotional and a little manipulative and very kind of like victim mentality. They hold grudges for about 100 years. And so when it's in the planet of Mars, it doesn't like to be there. And when it's there, it gives off kind of like, how do I say? It gives off like passive aggressive vibes, like I'm gonna sit in this corner and pout and be mad and throw jabs. It's not happy there. It's happier in Leo. It's kind of loud, and Leos are, center of attention and loud and more open and a little more aggressive by nature. So it likes to be in Mars. And I think I felt that shift a little bit because, man, last week I was just so emotional. Like any little information that I got, whether it be like personal stuff or work stuff or whatever, dude, I was just like fuming. I was like, and it was rough on top of the fact that I was in my like menstrual cycle. That did not make it any better. I was not having fun last week. I am starting to feel better. I am in my follicular phase right now. If you guys don't know what that means, let me give you a quick little rundown. So you have your menstrual cycle. That could last like 3 to 7 days. That's when you have like zero energy. Like you have to prioritize resting during that time. You don't want to like force yourself to do too much. You really want to prioritize rest and just like, calm and zen during that time, and your hormones are completely depleted during your menstrual cycle. Then right after your menstrual cycle, you go into your follicular phase. Your follicular phase can last like 7 to 10 days. That's like when your energy begins to it starts to come up a little bit. It starts to come up, and you can be like more creative during that time. You start to feel a little better. Then after that, you have your ovulatory phase. That's when you're ovulating, and that can last like 3 to 4 days. And you can be like more social during this time. Your energy, your hormones are starting to rise, so you're starting to feel a little better. Then you get into your luteal phase. That can last about 10 to 14 days. And that's like your peak, where your hormones and your energy is at its peak, but it starts to come down right after, like when you enter that phase. So that could last up to 10 to 14 days, but you start to kind of drop, and then you begin your menstrual cycle. So during that time, like, you could feel like more tired. You can start feeling like you just want to like bed rot, and like your energy starts to, it goes up and then it starts to decline. It's at its peak and then it starts to decline. So, for those guys out there that have girlfriends, be nice to your girlfriends, okay? Because in a matter of a month, girls have like top like 14 days out of the month that they feel great, that they feel normal, that they feel like they can take on the world. Like literally 14 days peak max, okay? The hormone cycle on a woman is just, it's hard. And when you combine it with like what's going on in outer space and the astronomy of it all, because we are affected by the planets and the stars. We are literally made from stardust. And so when you combine all those things together, it's hard, guys. It's hard. Yeah, I had a hard, rough little week. I'm not gonna lie. Listen, I was like talking to myself, talking to my higher self, talking to the universe. I was like praying. I was like, please, I need to let go of the things that don't serve me. I have to let go of the things that don't serve me. I'm still learning that to this day. When I started this podcast, I told you guys I had been going through it. I've been going through it for a while, and sometimes these things, they creep up on me, little things, and I really have to learn how to let it go, because I know that there is better for me in the future. I know things are getting better for me. I know the universe is working for me. However, sometimes little things creep up and I let them get the best of me, and I do have to learn, and I do have to meditate on letting things go that no longer serve me. And it's so weird. The other day, before I fell asleep, I was, you can call it praying. I just talk to my higher self. I talk to source, and I was like, please help me to let go of the things that don't serve me. And I kept repeating that. Please help me let go of the things that don't serve me. Please help me let go of the things that don't serve me. And as I fell asleep, you guys, I had the craziest dream. Like, craziest dream. I have never had a dream like that. For a long time, I didn't even dream. I didn't dream a lot. I don't know what that means. I have to look that up. If anybody knows what that means, like, drop it down on the comments. I'd love to hear your take on it. For a very long time, I never dreamed. Or, you know how they say you always dream, you just don't remember? Whatever the case. Either I didn't dream, or I would wake up every morning and I didn't remember my dreams for a very long time. Then about maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I started dreaming, and I would remember every single dream. I can wake up and remember my dream every night. But I've never had a dream where you're dreaming and you know in the dream that you're dreaming, but you stay in the dream. It's not like you dream and you know you're dreaming and then you like wake up out of the dream. You're like, oh, okay, I gotta wake up. No, I've never had a dream like that. I've never had a dream where I'm in the dream. In the dream, I know I'm dreaming, and then I stay in the dream, like I continue doing whatever the dream is about. So I had a dream like that, like a few days ago. I remember having a friend that I used to work with, Justin, who would tell me back in Miami, he would tell me that he could do that. Like he could have dreams and be in the dream and know that he's dreaming and like continue to do stuff in the dream or whatever. I've never experienced that before. I experienced that like a few days ago. And dude, it was freaking insane, okay? I was sleeping. Obviously, I was sleeping. Jesus. Okay, stay with me, guys. Stay with me. So, I see the sky. I am surrounded by stars. Like, I don't see the earth or anything. Like, all I see is black and stars everywhere. And then I see, like, 2 or 3 people kind of far away from me. And they say to me, they're like, press the number 2. And I had something in my hands, or like I was doing like 2 with my hands like this. And they're like, no, you got to do the number 2. You got to press the number 2 or something like that. And I remember either pressing it or holding up the number 2. And any time that I did that, I would shoot out into the stars. Like I was shooting out into the stars like fast. Okay. But I wasn't scared. You know how like sometimes you have dreams where like you're falling and you're scared, or like, I don't know, I've had dreams where I'm like sitting on a cloud and the cloud is like moving through the sky and I get like tickling in my stomach, like when you're on a roller coaster. I've had dreams like that before. But in this dream, I was like soaring through this dark sky filled with stars and I wasn't scared. I wasn't. I can feel like the wind or like like I can feel myself like moving through the stars, but I wasn't afraid. And so anytime I would press the number 2, or I don't know if I held up the number 2 or there was something in my hand that I had to press the number 2, I would go really, really fast. And then when I would stop, I would stop and I would just kind of like be there. And then if I pressed it, I would go really, really fast. And these people were telling me, you got to press the number 2, you got to press the number 2, you know? And I remember like looking out, and when I would look out, I would see all the stars, dark sky. And then when I looked down and I can see myself in my bed, laying down on my back, sleeping. Like I could see that I was in my room sleeping, but there was this glowing, big, bright, glowing gold light from my chest that was coming out. And I knew that I was sleeping, and when I would look up, I would see the stars and the galaxy and like everything. And I knew that I was in a dream because I would look down and I'm like, oh, I'm in my bed sleeping. And then I would look up and I'm like, oh, those are all the stars. Like I knew that I was sleeping, but every time I would look down, there was this gold light coming out from my chest. And I even remember in the dream, like thinking, I was like, oh man, this is really bright. Is like someone gonna see it? Or like, is my daughter gonna wake up and be like, what the hell? Why is there a bright light coming out of my mom's chest? Like, I was just thinking that. And I was like, holy cow. And dude, it was like the craziest thing. Like, I could see my body laying down. I would look down. My chest was like glowing this bright gold yellow light. And then I would look up and I could press the 2s and shoot out into the stars. It was insane. I don't even know. I was talking to my childhood friend about it, and she's a spiritual person. She was like, maybe it was like this healing thing. I don't know. I did fall asleep asking the universe and source to help me let go of the things that no longer serve me. And it's something that I really deeply, deeply want to do and want to continue to do, because I know that there's only good and there's only better waiting for me on the other side of these things that I, for some reason, am still holding on to, like, internally. And so I want to get past that, but I just think it's so weird that I had that conversation before I went to sleep and then freaking, like, had that dream. Like, if anybody is into, like, dream interpretations, write it down in the comments. I am, like, super, super curious to know what you guys think or how you guys interpret that dream. It was insane, dude. Oh man, it was pretty crazy. Anyway, like I said, last week was rough. I still keep in touch with my ex-fiance's children. I talk to them, mostly the older daughter, which is funny because when she was younger, I always felt like, when I first met her, I always felt like the younger daughter liked me more because we had more things, like, in common, and I felt like the older daughter didn't like me at all. And he would tell me, he's like, watch, when she gets older, you and her are the ones that are going to be close. And he said that to me a couple times, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I think she's going to hate me forever. But, she's the one I talk to the most now, and I love talking to her. I love keeping in touch with her and her mom and her sister. Like, I care about them very much. But I think last week I was just so emotional, and I heard a few things about things that were going on that I really let it get to me. And I know I shouldn't, but we're human, and I'm still learning how to let go. Not letting go in, like, a romantic sense where I would want to start a relationship or anything like that, but letting go of the things that were done to me. I don't believe that you need to forgive people in order to move on. Forgiveness is for yourself. I have to learn how to forgive myself. I have to learn how to forgive myself for being too kind, too naive, for letting people treat me bad for as long as I let them treat me bad. I need to learn how to forgive myself. I don't need to forgive the people that did these things to me, if that makes sense. You don't have to forgive your abusers. I think part of you can stay mad. I think that's okay. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. I think that you have to learn how to forgive yourself. And that's hard because, especially if you're a person that doesn't play victim, that understands that some of the things that happen to you are because either you attract them into your life or the energy that you had at the moment was not right, or different things, right? I attracted that relationship into my life because I was not in a good place energetically at that time. I still needed to heal more, and I kind of tried to do the right thing, but energetically and spiritually, deep down inside, it wasn't the time. And so I kept attracting the same kind of cycle that I've always attracted because I still wasn't there yet. And so I have to forgive myself for not acknowledging that and continuing on with what I thought was right at the time. Does that make sense to you guys? It makes sense to me, but I hope it's making sense to you guys. And so we have a part in everything that happens to us, whether some of us like to admit it or not. I've learned a long time ago that there's a lot of things that I participated in that I am at fault for. Maybe not when you're children, right? Like when we're growing up and things are happening to us that are not things that we can control because we're children. That, no. That I understand, a lot of those things are not by choice. But as we get older and our subconscious starts to create its memory and we start to do things from that part of our brains when we're older, then we kind of start to make these choices that are just kind of like this cycle, right? And so once you become conscious of it, now if you never become conscious of it, then there's ignorance is bliss, so you'll never know the difference. But once I became conscious of it, if you continue to repeat those patterns, then it's a choice, because once you become conscious of it, there's really no excuse. You're just making a choice at that point. And so I was conscious of a lot of things during that time, but I have to forgive myself for staying in it for as long as I did. And so that's the part where forgiveness is for yourself. It's not for other people. I don't think that you are any less a spiritual person or any less a good person if you choose not to forgive the people who have hurt you. The people that have hurt me from when I was a child to just a couple years ago, those people put me in a place where I was surviving and had to survive and had to figure out how to make it. Okay, from when I was a kid to now, those people made me, question myself, question my worthiness, question my value. You don't ever have to forgive those people, because it's a constant struggle to come back from that hole that was dug up. It was a struggle to find your place in this world, even after all that trauma and all that bullshit. So you don't have to forgive them. However, you got to find grace and you got to find kindness and forgiveness for yourself. So that I do believe in. I am still learning how to do that. This past week, I had to be real nice to myself. Real nice to myself. Let's just say that, because, woo, man, I was ready. I was ready to do some things. I'm sorry. It takes me back to certain times, in my life where I was just petty, and it's not that I am ashamed or anything like that. I'm not. It's just that I know that I'm in a different place now, and I know that I'm in a better place now. And so when these feelings creep up like they did this past week, boy, I'll tell you, yeah, gotta be real kind to yourself. So moral of the story basically is that don't be upset with yourself if you feel like there's people that you can't forgive for what they've done to you. I don't see anything wrong with that. It's not all zen and, like I've mentioned before, it's not all about peace and love and unicorns and rainbows. That shit is not realistic, bro. It's just not. We are humans, and I think that the most important thing to really be a good person and be closer to God, source, the universe, whatever you're comfortable saying, the most important thing is to be so self-aware of who you are, your triggers, your emotions, the good, the bad. That's the most important thing, is to be so self-aware and so aware of you that you can change that energy and alchemize it into something better. I don't think that it's about pushing down all your bad emotions and trying to be godlike and trying to be like a saint. I don't believe that. I think that it's about just having a balance, but also knowing when to fight, knowing when to stand up for yourself, knowing when to shut up, knowing when to be kind, essentially. I was having a conversation with that same childhood friend I was talking about, and she made a comment like evil and good can't coexist. And I think she meant it like it shouldn't coexist, or it shouldn't be, they shouldn't be together or whatnot. But I told her, I said, man, I don't agree with that at all, because that is the part of spirituality that people don't understand. Dark and light coexist all the time. Evil and good coexist all the time. You have to learn how to love the dark parts of you and the light parts of you. It's not about shutting out the dark and shaming yourself for having bad thoughts, or guilting yourself for being angry or having emotions that people classify as bad. It's really about embracing the dark and embracing the ugly parts of you, and like hugging them and kissing them and loving them, and knowing that they are all part of you and they are sometimes what keeps you alive. And so it's about that balance and knowing when to bring it out and knowing when not to. And I think that it's important that they coexist. It's important that they are together. It's like, and then, she responded and she was like, yeah, it's like yin and yang. I'm like, yeah, exactly. It's like yin and yang. It's the dark and the light. It's about creating a whole. And it's not all rainbows and sunshine, and it's not all darkness, right? You have to be in the middle somewhere. And this past week, I was, falling off the deep end. And so I had to make sure that I gave myself a little bit of grace, reminded myself that emotions are temporary, they come and they go. I had to make sure that I was observing myself from like third person, like observing myself from the outside and seeing really what it was that I was feeling. Although it came out as anger sometimes, in reality, what I was feeling is hurt. And in reality, what I was feeling is sadness. And so it's important to be able to identify those things. And if you can do that, I think you're like way ahead of a lot of people. I think part of it is that I have been by myself for a really long time, and I don't have close friends that live where I live. The people that I interact with every single day are acquaintances. They're not friends. And so it's hard because I don't let a lot of people in, which is true. I'm very selective about the people that I talk to, because I understand that there's a lot of people that don't vibe the same energetically as me. They have different priorities in life. They're doing different things, and I have my own. And so I feel like I haven't really found a person or a group of people that I really connect with in that way. And so I've been by myself for a long time. I'm okay with being by myself. It's not a problem for me, but sometimes when you're a mom and making sure that, life is lifing and things are happening, and you don't have anyone to kind of like turn around to and be like, man, this is what's going on, or whatever. Like I said, my life is very peaceful and it's very quiet, and I enjoy it so much, and I love it, and I don't feel alone. I don't feel lonely most of the time. But last week was one of those weeks where I just felt tired. And another thing is that once the menstrual cycle or the luteal cycle starts, my energy starts to go down. And so I didn't go to the gym for like, I think it was 4 days. I did have to do physical activities during those days, but it wasn't like specifically the gym, which puts a bummer on my day anyway, because going to the gym is literally like my shot of like dopamine and serotonin and like all the feel good chemicals that I create when I go to the gym. And so I didn't have that for like 4 days. And so that was really hard on me too. That was part of it. And it was just one of those weeks. Seriously, it was one of those weeks. And so I wanted to come on here this week and kind of talk about that, because for those of you that follow me on Instagram and Facebook and, you know, TikTok, Snapchat, it's important that you guys understand that it's not always glamorous. Another thing that kind of struck me this past week too was that my daughter is going to be in middle school. And listen, I don't care if I fail at anything in my life, okay? I could be making these podcasts forever and only get 10 views each video, and I would not care. I don't care if I fail at my businesses. I know Source and the universe has a plan for me. The one thing that I cannot fail in this life is being a mom, a good mom. That's my biggest fear. I cannot fail at that because I refuse to give my daughter the life that I had. I don't want her to ever have any of those feelings that I had. I want her to feel supported and safe. And so I'm very conscious of that all the time. And I'm always questioning myself, like, am I a good mom? Like, am I doing this right? It is, it's scary sometimes. And this last week, I kind of realized, like, I'm going to have a middle schooler at my house. Like, middle school for me high school was the roughest, but middle school for me is almost like when my eyes opened up and like my ears perked up and I could finally like really like see things and people and everything. It was a little rough, and I'm terrified. I am terrified. This is why I only had one kid. If you have, I don't care what anybody says. You guys can say whatever you want, but the more kids that you have, the more you're spreading yourself out thin. And the less percentage of you those kids get. And so in my head, I was like, if I have one, I can put all my attention and effort into one, and I can make sure that I don't fuck this shit up, because I can't fuck this shit up. It's the one thing that I can't fuck up, is being a mom, being a good mom. I can't fuck that shit up. And so I said, well, I'm going to do it once and I'm going to do it right. And so I've been dreading it ever since. I question almost everything I do, I question it. Because I just want to make sure that, she feels, like I said, safe and protected and stuff. And so she's going into middle school. She's not a little kid anymore. She still likes me. She still likes me, knock on wood. So there's no wood here, but someone knock on wood for me. She still likes me up until this point. She's gonna be 11 this year, but she's like a teenager already. And that kind of hit me this week. She was talking about the sports that she wants to do and all these things. And I'm like, oh my God. Listen, man. I take being a mom really seriously for obvious reasons. And I just can't fuck this shit up. And so the pressure's on, because the funny thing about life, the sense of humor of it all, is that you really don't know if you've done a good job with your kids until they're grown. Like, you don't know. You put your time and effort into your kids or into your kid, all your love. You try not to fuck them up too bad. I know she's gonna have some sort of residue from some shit that I've done, or her dad, or whatever. I understand that. Hopefully it's just not big ones like the ones that I have. So what you do is you raise your kids, hopefully, so that they never need therapy. Essentially, that's what you try anyway. That's what you aim for. But you don't know really if you've done a good job until they're like full-blown adults. And so her going into middle school for 3 years and then high school, that's going to go by like this. I can't even believe she's going to be 11. 3 years is going to go by like this. And so we're just getting closer and closer and closer to the determining factor to knowing if I've done a good job. And that shit hit me last week, and it was scary as fuck. And I'll tell you, she's already better than me. You have the kind of parents that, I don't understand parents that don't understand that the next generation is supposed to be better than you. If your kids aren't better than you, then you already have something's wrong, okay? Or if you don't want your kids to be better than you, like subconsciously, that's kind of weird. You probably need to go to therapy, check that shit out. But my daughter is better than me in everything, okay? She is kinder, she's wiser, she's funnier, listen, it's the generational, it's getting better. I'm definitely better than my mom, for sure, 1,000%. My mom, in some ways, was better than my grandma. I'm better than my mom. My daughter's better than me, and hopefully her kids will be better than her. So I know that I'm a couple steps ahead, in regards to that. But growing up and, middle school, especially middle school, because that's when, the hormones really start to kick in. And, some of her friends in 5th grade already have started their women's cycle. And that's insane to me, because I don't remember. I think it was middle school when I got mine. But I had friends in elementary that had already gotten it. And so, man, I'm just scared. I'm scared to death. She is the best. I love her so much. And I just want to make sure that I'm doing a good job. And that shit's scary, man. That shit's scary, Some people just pop out kids and they're just, I don't know how they do it. I don't know. I never wanted, since I was younger, I never even really wanted kids. But once I had my daughter, I just said to myself, like, two is a good number. I think two is a good number. Anything more than two is crazy. But I just said to myself, like, well, I'll just have this one, and I'll just make sure that I do a really good job. And it's funny because it's on my chart also. We're going to get into that. I really got to do an episode on that. On my chart, you can see that it says, like, my astrologer asked me, he was like, oh, how many kids do you have? And I was like, oh, I have one. And he was like, oh, that's a perfect number for you, because one of my main lessons in this life that I'm living now, one of the things that I have to make sure that I do, which is in my chart, he told me, is I need to make sure that I'm a really good mom. And as long as I make sure that I am present and I'm being a good parent, then the doors will unlock for me, is basically what he said. He said, anything you want, anything you ever wanted, or anything you've ever dreamt of, you will have. You just have to make sure that you are the parent that you need to be to your child. I get goosebumps thinking about it, because a long time ago in Miami, when I still lived there, for those people that don't understand this, I went to a party, I went to like a Santo party, which is a religion, kind of what I talked about before, if you guys remember, about like Santeria, and it's like a Cuban religion. And so I went to a party specifically for that. And one of the babalaos, which is the highest, think about it like, I don't know, your priest in church, or like a father in like the Catholic Church, or the Pope, I guess, I don't know. The highest ranking in that religion is called a babalao. And I remember that a babalao told me, and this was like, years before I ever had a daughter. And I remember he told me in that party that when I had my daughter, specifically a girl, that all the fruits of life, I would have all the fruits of life. All the doors will open. All the things that I've ever wanted, I would get. But I had to make sure that I was a good mom. He told me that. And that was like, man, this is when I was like living in these apartments on 72nd and Flagler, right there by the railroad tracks. I was living there. How old was I? Maybe like 20 or 21 or something. And I remember that this babalao told me that. And then fast forward to my astrologer telling me that, I don't know, like 3 years ago. It's pretty crazy. You can't really live the life that I've lived and seen the signs and seen all the synchronicities and all the things that I've witnessed in my life and not be a believer and not believe in a higher power. Like, it's impossible. And so, yeah, that's what I was told. And so it's almost like this pressure that I put on myself sometimes, where I'm constantly thinking about, am I doing this wrong? Am I doing this right? I mean, I just care so deeply about it. I'm almost jealous of the people that don't think about it, and they're just kind of like, oh, kids are kids. They're fine. Like, they don't even, like, the ignorance that some people have when it comes to being a mom and how they take it so lightly. It's just, oh, man. Once you are awake to all the things, you can't go back to sleep. And so once I've become aware of all these things, it's really hard to be so like free and so like nonchalant about certain things. And when it comes to being like a parent and being a mom, like that's one of those things where like you can't just take it lightly. The things you say, the things you do, it all matters to kids and even to teenagers, not just to like young kids. Like it goes into their teenage years. Like that shit matters, man. Like the way you look at them, every little thing matters, because there's like little tiny things that I remember as a kid that to a lot of people would be like, oh, that's not a big deal. But it was a big deal. It was a big deal to me. And maybe it wasn't that big. And like, I don't know if you want to put it on a scale or something, if you really want to get that deep into it, it might not have been that big. But it was to me. Like kids remember certain things. And so it's important, man. It's important that you watch how you speak and what you say and how you say it. And I take that real seriously. And when I make a mistake, I'm really hard on myself when I make a mistake, especially with my daughter. I always apologize to her. I make sure that she understands that even though I'm an adult, I make mistakes. And I apologize sincerely to her. I never gaslight her. I never lie to her. I have a really hard time. And then that on the flip side is kind of bad too, because since I don't like to lie to her, I probably talk to her about things that, maybe she's too young to understand or listen to, but I just can't do it. So it's a constant struggle. And so, yeah, man. So she's going into middle school last week. That hit me hard. And of course, surfing the Crimson wave and having all these things happen at the same time. Bro, I was like crying at State Farm commercials, okay? I was like, like it was, oh no. It was one of those weeks. And so I'm just here to report. I'm here to report back to you guys. I'm here to live it, vet it, and report back. That's my duty. It's my duty to you all. There's some things that you just learn as you go. And being a parent is definitely one of those things. You take what you learned in the past and then you kind of mix it up with what you're learning on a daily basis, and then that's what comes out. So that's where we're at. That's where I'm at right now. Yeah. So anyway, I am feeling a lot better this week. I went to the gym yesterday. That was amazing. I felt so great. It really is such a exercise for my brain more than anything, honestly. And feeling good and looking good is just kind of like the byproduct of it. But I really, really needed it after 4 days of not going. And so I'm feeling better. My energy is coming back. I hope to have a hot topic for you guys next week. I want to, real quick, for some reason, my episode 5 was on Spotify and Apple Podcast, but not on YouTube. I have no idea what happened. So I am uploading episode 5 today. If you guys want to check that out, that would be awesome. Again, it was on Spotify and it was on Apple Podcasts when it was supposed to be, but for some reason it like disappeared. I don't know why it wasn't on YouTube. So I'm putting that up on YouTube today, along with obviously editing this episode, and this one will be out on Friday. I want to thank you guys again for joining me today. And like I always say, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. The lessons will find you. Until next time, this is Life Vetted.